When a titan of industry collapses, a cleaning woman's simple act of kindness reshapes both their lives forever. The reflection staring back at Julian Croft from the polished obsidian marble of the executive washroom wasn't the titan of finance featured on magazine covers. The sharp lines of his bespoke suit seemed to hang loosely, the confident glint in his eyes replaced by a disturbing flicker of panic. The air, usually scented with expensive citrus and cedarwood, felt thick, heavy, and strainingly metallic. A sudden blinding headache pulsed behind his temples, a relentless drumbeat drowning out the distant hum of the city far below his penthouse office suite. He gripped the edge of the cool marble basin, knuckles white, as a wave of vertigo sent the opulent room spinning. The intricate pattern on the floor tiles seemed to writhe, the gold fixtures warping like molten metal. It wasn't just fatigue. This was something visceral, terrifying. This fortress of luxury, built on ruthless acquisitions and market dominance, suddenly felt like a fragile cage, and the bars were closing in. He needed air, needed space, but his legs felt leaden, unresponsive. A strangled gasp escaped his lips as a searing pain shot down his left arm, a terrifying premonition that the untouchable Julian Croft was about to violently reconnect with his own fragile humanity. The heavy thud reverberated strangely in the pristine quiet of the executive floor's private washroom. Maria, whose hands were more accustomed to polishing glass and wiping away smudges than confronting crisis, paused her cleaning trolley just outside the door. Normally, she timed her rounds meticulously to avoid encountering the floor's powerful occupants, especially Mr. Croft, whose stern presence always made her feel invisible. But this sound was wrong. It wasn't the decisive click of a door or the flush of plumbing. It was dull, heavy, final. Hesitantly, pushing aside the ingrained habit of making herself scarce, she tapped lightly on the thick wood. Silence. A knot of unease tightened in her stomach. Against her better judgment, driven by a flicker of human concern that transcended job descriptions, she pushed the door open a crack. The sight stopped her breath. Julian Croft, the man whose empire spanned continents, lay sprawled on the Italian marble floor, his face a mask of pale agony, his tailored suit crumpled beneath him. He looked terrifyingly small, stripped of his usual aura of invincibility. A faint whisper, "Help," reached her ears, barely audible, a plea cutting through the silence. Waking was a slow, disorienting process. The first sensation was the rhythmic, intrusive beeping of unfamiliar machines. Then the smell, antiseptic and sterile, a stark contrast to the rich scents of his office or the curated aromas of his penthouse. Julian found himself confined to a stark white hospital bed, IV lines tethering him like an unwilling marionette. Doctors spoke in hushed, serious tones about a significant neurological event, a near-fatal hypertensive crisis brought on by unsustainable stress levels, a ticking time bomb detonated by years of relentless pressure and calculated disregard for his own well-being. The undisputed master of his universe, the man who dictated fortunes with a phone call, was now a patient, subject to the schedules and pronouncements of others. Staring at the acoustic ceiling tiles, the vast emptiness of his relentless pursuits pressed down on him. The deals closed, the rivals crushed, the mountains of wealth accumulated. It all felt hollow, meaningless in the face of this stark confrontation with his own mortality. The power he wielded seemed laughably irrelevant within these four walls, where the only currency that mattered was a steady heartbeat and the kindness of strangers. Weeks later, discharged but visibly changed, his movements slower, his gaze less piercing, more contemplative, Julian returned to the towering skyscraper that housed his empire. He wasn't there for board meetings or market analyses. He walked past the familiar security desk, his mind fixed on a singular purpose, finding the cleaning woman who had found him, the one whose quick thinking had likely saved his life. He described her vaguely: average height, dark hair tied back, quiet demeanor. The building management vaguely recognized the description but struggled to pinpoint her. The cleaning staff were often subcontracted, their names and faces shifting, part of the building's often unseen operational layers. Julian felt a growing frustration, a sense of absurdity that he, a man who could track global financial shifts, couldn't locate one essential person within his own headquarters. He realized with uncomfortable clarity how little he truly saw of the people who kept his world running smoothly, the human infrastructure supporting his lofty perch. His search felt like chasing a ghost, a testament to his previous self-absorption. Persistence, a trait honed in the boardroom, finally paid off. Julian found Maria during her late-night shift in a deserted corridor on the 45th floor. She looked startled, almost fearful, when he approached, recognizing him instantly. He insisted gently on speaking with her, suggesting the quiet staff break room downstairs. Sitting across from her at a simple laminate table under flickering fluorescent lights, the disparity between their worlds felt immense. He spoke haltingly, thanking her not just for her actions, but for her presence, her simple human response. Maria listened quietly, her initial nervousness slowly replaced by a cautious curiosity. She spoke of her family, her hopes for her children, the quiet dignity of her work. Julian, accustomed to conversations laced with agendas and power plays, found himself disarmed by her straightforward honesty. He saw not just a cleaner, but a woman of quiet strength and profound integrity. She, in turn, saw not the intimidating tycoon but a man humbled, grappling with vulnerability, reaching across a chasm he had previously never acknowledged existed. A fragile, unexpected bridge began to form between them. Their conversations continued, often brief encounters during Maria's shifts or scheduled coffees in neutral locations away from the imposing tower. Julian found himself increasingly disillusioned with the relentless, often destructive cycle of high finance. His near-death experience hadn't just scared him, it had fundamentally altered his perspective on value and legacy. Talking with Maria, hearing about her community, the struggles of her neighbors, the simple desire for stable work and a safe environment for kids to grow, sparked an idea. It contrasted sharply with the abstract, often impersonal nature of his financial dealings. What if his resources, his strategic mind, could be applied differently? What if, instead of just accumulating wealth, he could cultivate opportunity? He shared his nascent thoughts with Maria, whose practical insights and grounded perspective immediately resonated. They began sketching out a concept far removed from trading floors and hostile takeovers, something rooted in the earth, tangible, and designed to nourish more than just a bottom line. They called it terra firma. The project involved acquiring derelict urban lots, neglected spaces within the city, and transforming them into thriving community gardens and skills training centers. Julian provided the capital and navigated the complex web of city permits and regulations, skills honed in his previous life now repurposed. Maria, with her deep understanding of community needs and her innate ability to connect with people, became the heart of the operation. They focused on hiring individuals facing significant barriers, refugees rebuilding their lives, youth aging out of foster care, people seeking a fresh start after incarceration. Terra Firma offered more than just horticultural training. It provided wraparound support, language classes, financial literacy workshops, and, most importantly, a supportive community. The scent of rich soil and growing things replaced the sterile air of boardrooms. Watching someone gain confidence mastering a new skill, seeing families enjoy fresh produce they helped grow, this provided Julian a satisfaction far deeper than any billion-dollar deal ever had. Years unfolded. Terra Firma expanded, its model replicated in other neighborhoods, becoming a beacon of urban renewal and social enterprise. Julian, while still sharp and strategic, had softened. The harsh edges were smoothed by purpose and genuine connection. He found joy not in market domination, but in mentoring a young trainee, in celebrating the opening of a new community kitchen supplied by their gardens, in seeing the tangible impact of their shared vision. His relationship with Maria evolved into a deep, respectful partnership, built on mutual trust and shared goals. They became anchors for each other, and for the growing Terra Firma family. They never married in the traditional sense, but they built a unique kind of family. A vast network of individuals, whose lives had been touched and transformed by the project, a testament to the power of second chances and collective effort. The once isolated tycoon found himself woven into the rich, complex fabric of the community he now served. Looking back, Julian often marveled at the trajectory his life had taken, pivoted by a moment of terrifying vulnerability in a place designed to signify power. The collapse in the executive washroom hadn't been an end, but a violent, necessary beginning. His wealth was no longer measured solely in stock prices and assets, but in the number of lives uplifted, the skills imparted, the community strengthened. Terra Firma wasn't just a successful nonprofit, it was a living, breathing ecosystem of hope and resilience. Maria, once an almost invisible presence in his former world, stood beside him as an equal partner, her quiet wisdom having proven more valuable than the loudest voices in any boardroom. Their journey was a powerful narrative demonstrating that true wealth lies not in what you accumulate for yourself, but in what you cultivate for others. The portfolio Julian Croft valued most was now filled with stories of growth, resilience, and shared humanity. The story of Julian and Maria serves as a profound illustration. A single moment of crisis, met with simple human compassion, can reroute destinies and blossom into something beautiful and transformative. It reminds us that beneath the titles and the facades, we are all vulnerable, all connected. An act of kindness, even one as seemingly small as noticing someone in distress and offering help, can initiate ripples that spread further than we can ever imagine, reshaping not just individual lives, but entire communities. It challenges us to look beyond surface appearances, to recognize the inherent worth in every individual, and to consider how our own resources, whatever they may be, can contribute to a kinder, more connected world. If stories like this, exploring the unexpected turns of life and the enduring power of human connection, resonate with you, please subscribe for more tales that delve into the heart of the human experience.